Before we jump into today's episode, we want to let you know about the Memorial Day sale happening now at Critical Nutrition Labs. From Friday, May 22nd through Tuesday, May 26th, you can save 25% off site-wide on supplements designed to help you feel stronger, recover better, and support your health from the inside out. Just use promo code HONOR25 at checkout. That's 25% off site-wide at Critical Nutrition Labs with code HONOR25. Sale ends Tuesday, May 26th, so don't wait.
Most high performers, they link achievement with approval. You think about back when you were a kid, right? You did something well, you got praised. You won the competition, you got pizza and ice cream after the game or something. So we're built upon these conditioned beliefs from like societal things, handed down beliefs from generations, like your parents, things like that. And achievement becomes a way to self-regulate. And then it's not just pursuing success. So identity gets tied to outcomes like I am my results. And when things go well, your confidence is high. Everything feels like good, it feels aligned. But when it dips, well, guess what? You have self-doubt, you have anxiety, you have questioning of self-worth.
We believe that you are strong by design, and you were made in God's image to have a strong body, mind, and spirit. You're listening to the #1 strength and health authority podcast in the world. So let's get ready to unlock your potential and transform your life in today's episode.
Hey, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode here on the Strong by Design podcast. Hosting today, Coach Chris Wilson. So glad that you've joined us, that you've tuned in, that you are either a first-time listener or a long-time listener of the podcast. We are just grateful for you. We have a lot of good things to teach you today, to hopefully inspire you today, and to get you to think maybe a little bit differently about success and what success looks like. We have a great guest, somebody that I've known of for, a decade or more, and know the company that he works for and the people that he works with, but we've never really connected. So this is exciting for me to be able to talk with our guest today. If you've been listening to Strong by Design for the last several years or just new to the show this year in 2026, we really do appreciate you, and be sure to share this episode with a friend or a family member, after listening today, and so that we can grow our audience a little bit more. And, we have everything here on Strong by Design, from purely body topics to mindset stuff, to spiritual stuff, faith walk, to leadership and family. We kind of touch on all the things that really matter. And sometimes we put them all together. So we just are grateful for all of our listeners. So our guest today, Joey V, someone who's helping high performers rethink what success really means, and why so many people who look successful on paper still feel like something's missing. I've heard a lot about this actually just in the last few years, and I think people are looking for what real success looks like. Joey Vaillancourt, or Joey V, is a self-influence strategist. He's the host of Real Influence podcast, and he's the creator of the Great Life Experiment. He's worked with businesses generating over $200 million in revenue, but his real work goes deeper, helping driven individuals uncover the unconscious patterns behind their ambitions. And after going through some major life shifts himself, including divorce and sobriety, and a complete reevaluation of what success actually looks like, Joey now helps other people achieve more by forcing less and reconnecting with what truly matters. So if any of this sounds familiar, if this sounds like something that you've been dealing with, if you're struggling with success and what that looks like, what real success looks like, today's conversation, I think, will be really awesome for you. So let's get into it with Joey V. Welcome to the show, my man.
Thanks, Chris. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, excited. We got all the technical difficulties out of the way, I hope.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
If there's any glitches, something's in the matrix today, we'll hopefully navigate that well. I think we will. Joey, right out of the bat, right off the top, why do so many high performers tie their identity to their accomplishments? And what happens to them in terms of, what does that look like when people are tying their accomplishments to their identity?
Yeah, so I mean, this is such a great episode because it's something I want to talk about personally more. It's something that I've been affected for many years. And like you said, I was successful on paper. Everything was like, I was dotting my I's, crossing my T's, checking all the milestones off. And I kept arriving at the end destination and going like, what's going on? Like, why am I not happy? Right? I've got all the things that I've ever wanted, and I'm still not fulfilled. So, most high performers were conditioned early to they link achievement with approval. You think about back when you're a kid, right? You did something well, you got praised. You won the competition, you got pizza and ice cream after the game or something. And if not, you went starving that night or whatever, right? So we're built upon these conditioned beliefs from societal things, handed down beliefs from generations, like your parents, things like that. And achievement becomes a way to self-regulate. And then it's not just pursuing success. So identity gets tied to outcomes like I am my results. And when things go well, your confidence is high. Everything feels good. It feels aligned. But when it dips, well, guess what? You have self-doubt. You have anxiety. You have questioning of self-worth, right? So, you have a great month in business. You feel unstoppable. Next month, things kind of drop, and then all of a sudden you start questioning your ability and your identity, but nothing about your skill or my skill actually changed. It's just the result.
Right.
But we tied ourselves to saying, if I don't accomplish it, I'm a nobody, right? And there's a great quote by Tony Robbins, and I just did a very polarizing episode about the Alex Hormozi, Tony Robbins interview.
Yes, I've seen some clips of that interview. It made me uncomfortable in a few spots.
Yeah. And I mean, listen, Alex Hormozi, I mean, all credit to him for what he's built in his business, but I think some of his life philosophy, including screw happiness, I don't know if we can swear on this podcast, so I'm going to keep it PG-13.
If you do and it's egregious, we can always there's workarounds.
His words, not mine.
Yeah.
But in that interview, Tony said something really powerful, and I always like this distinction, which is pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. Right? So pain is like a bad month in business. You lose a deal, there's a setback, but the suffering is the meaning you add on top of it. So, when something happens, you're saying to yourself, look, I'm failing. Yeah. I'm not good enough. There it is again, right? So that's the suffering. And pain is always going to be part of life. Like when we work out, there's going to be pain, right?
Yep.
It's something we absorb. We don't resist it, but the suffering is the resistance. And the trap.
I want to add, because the pain in the workouts, once you've been at it, if I don't hit those pain markers in my workouts, it's not a good workout.
100%. So we're not trying to avoid pain and pretend no, everything's got to just be sunshine and rainbows. There's no pain. But it's when you start to have these signals in your life that when you're tied to an accomplishment and it doesn't happen, all of a sudden your life falls apart. But when you accomplish it, it's oh, life's great again. That's the trap, right? Yep. And it becomes who you are, and you're only as good as your last win. So then you're always dependent on the win. And so what I like to always tell people, including myself, and this was something that was taught by one of my great coaches, was that the story is separate from the experience. So you have an experience, but two people could have this exact same experience. Think about losing your job. It sucks. It's painful. But one person could think, hey, great. I'm so glad this is over. This is the chapter I wanted to end. Exactly. The other person says, I'm never going to bounce back. And guess what? The person who's thinking that particular thought is probably going to have a harder time bouncing back because it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So one quick framework that I like to give people that was given to me, it's super easy to do whenever you're feeling this way. It's how do you know if you're doing this, and how do you know if you're in suffering? There's two different states of being. There's a primal state and a powerful state. So when you're thinking you're not enough, how does that make you feel in your body? Probably not great, right? It probably feels like anxiety, stress, the uncomfortable feeling, you're just unhappy. Well, in the coaching that I've done, that I got certified in after I actually had my guide coach me through my own suffering and misery, was that he said anytime you're thinking something like that, it's just a story you're telling yourself. Yeah. And if you're not feeling good in your body, it means it's the primal state, and it's probably not a true narrative. And some form of the opposite can be true. So we can start to recraft these beliefs, and I can go into deeper frameworks, but the initial thing is to notice how you're feeling when you're not accomplishing something. And what is the meaning you're giving it? And that's where people start to get trapped in the accomplishment paradox of I'm accomplished, I'm great. I'm not, I suck.
This episode of Strong by Design is brought to you by Critical Nutrition Labs. Memorial Day is here, and for a limited time, Critical Nutrition Labs is giving you 25% off site-wide. From Friday, May 22nd through Tuesday, May 26th, you can save on the supplements you trust to support strength, energy, recovery, mobility, brain health, and overall wellness. Whether you're stocking up on your daily essentials, trying something new, or getting back on track with your health routine, this is the time to do it. Just head over to Critical Nutrition Labs and use promo code HONOR25 at checkout to get 25% off your entire order. Again, that's promo code HONOR25 for 25% off site-wide during the Critical Nutrition Labs Memorial Day sale. The sale runs from Friday, May 22nd through Tuesday, May 26th only. Support your body, support your goals, and save big while the sale is live.
It's so true. And and when you hear it, when somebody tells it to you, just like you have, it makes perfect sense. And you see the flaw. You see the flaw in thinking. But it's funny how that's like a default. It's an automatic thing that a lot of us gravitate to, is that we put our worth in our accomplishments. We put our value in what are we producing? Like, what good are we, And if we feel like we're not producing, if we're not, in a certain spot on that mountain peak and we're in a valley moment, we just start to question, like, who am I? Like, I'm no good. I'm not, and it's the stinking thinking, and you don't get anywhere with the stinking thinking. I mean, you really don't. You're holding yourself back. It's the people that can maybe get there, but quickly overcome it, because none of us is like bulletproof. We might start going that route, and then we kind of self-correct and we realize, okay, I see what's happening here. I gotta get out of this quick. And we do. But some people never really quite catch themselves, and it's sad to see, what that looks like, where they're just broken from, because if you string together enough of those months that are down, it can really erode your confidence and your approach to things. It can really just be such a detriment. It's hard. Like, what do you do? Like, what do you do when you have a bad month, and then another bad month, and then a personal thing happens, and another bad month at work? It's like, what do you do?
Yeah. And I know you're like a man of faith, and I don't want to go too deep in the story, but when I rediscovered my own faith, I noticed myself, like, when things were going well, I was like, oh, thank my higher power. Like, thank you for delivering this to me. And when things were going wrong, I was like, oh, I have to fix it. I have to do something about this. And it's like, wait a minute. Like, if we trust in this path, right, then we have to trust that even if this is a low in the valley right now, that this is meant for me. This is meant for my greater good. I just don't see it, but I have faith that I understand that it is built for me, so I can build into the person I need to become.
Totally. It's the I'll be happy when mindset stuff that can just be a real killer, because a lot of us think that way. I've thought that way many times. Like, whatever this next thing is, like, once we get the house renovation done, like, I'll be happy, right? Once we sell this thing, or once I make this much money a month or annually, I'll be happy. And then you get there, and then it just becomes like regular life. And then you have some other next milestone, next level of happiness. What's the figure? Is it 75,000, or it's probably closer to 100 nowadays, since everything's so darn expensive. But there's a certain dollar amount that once you hit it, even if you go beyond that, even double it, it doesn't necessarily make you a happier person.
No, and it's something that if you haven't reached that milestone, you might be like, no, trust me, I'll be way happier. And to a point, there's a certain extent, like you said, I don't know exactly what the number is, but I've had that experience in my life, and the whole happy when. I'll give an example of like when this really got to me. So I went to school, and I was like, I got to get a degree, I got to get a safe job, because that's what my parents told me, right? That was just all I knew at the time. Now we live in a beautiful day where it's like, sky's the limit, man. Like, now there's AI, there's this. And I look at even AI as opportunistic.
Yeah.
I don't look at it as replacement. And again, we go back to what does it make you feel in your body? When you think about something, if you're thinking like, oh, this is the worst thing in the world and you feel terrible, it's probably not a true narrative. Again, so story separate from the experience, that aside, I went to the school, I got the job that I always wanted, right? And I was like, okay, I'm going to be happy now, right? And I got into it and I'm working in this corporate cubicle cage, had no windows. And after like a year, I'm like, what is this? Is this like my life? And so I started questioning this and I'm like, oh, no, but you got to be happy because like, of course, this is what you wanted.
Yep.
And my parents questioned, like when I was like, hey, I'm going to leave this job. They're like, are you nuts? Like you got a 401k, you've got this. And like you went to school. And I was like, no, but like, I just isn't for me. So I ended up quitting my cubicle cage. I ended up buying a farm, by the way. I had a 30-acre pet hotel, a ranch with a pet hotel, like animals, dogs and cats. We boarded them. I had a fitness facility on site. And again, I reached the next milestone. I like escaped the 9 to 5, right? And that's something I always wanted to do. And I was like, just like, I made it. But I was like white knuckling everything. And it was never enough, even in that situation. After I escaped, I still wasn't happy. And then I found, my wife and I, we had this beautiful life and everything was great. I was making more money. And I was just like continuously not being happy, but I didn't see it at the time. I only realized this probably like 5 years ago when I took a hard look at my life of like, again, I arrived at every destination and I'm still not fulfilled. So what's happening here? So the thing is, it never felt like enough because the bar keeps moving. Yeah. Because what we've conditioned ourselves is the chase. We like the chase. We continuously think that if we accomplish more, we become more. And it's not to say that you shouldn't desire more from your life, but if you come from a place of scarcity, thinking, I don't have enough, so I need more, versus coming from a place of abundance and being grateful for what I have. So the pattern for me, it was, we talk about addictions. Like I'll talk about addiction later if you want to go into that, sobriety. But there was even a deeper level of addiction of conditioning myself to always want more and never enjoy the time between point A and point B. And so here's a great reframe that I did in my life that a lot of people can do, like even today. Like I just turned 40, okay? So it was a big milestone in my life. But if I talked to the 20-year-old me and I said, hey, 20-year-old Joey, like here's what life looks like now. We're making this much money. We have a beautiful family. We live on the water. That guy would be stoked. He'd be like, oh my God, like you made it. You know what I mean? So everything that we once desired, we now probably have or are very close to what we desired. So why aren't we like embodying that feeling that we've made it?
Yep. It's a take it for granted type of living, because it is that addiction to the achievement, that addiction to just more. More is better. I'll be more content. I'll be more set up for the future. I'll be, and rather than living in that state of gratitude for the countless blessings that you have, it's really hard to, in the moment. But if you can like you said, if you could step back from it and be your 20-year-old self and looking at your older self, you'd be like, wow, dude, you did it.
Yeah. You did it. And when you pause, and this is the practice, it's like going to the gym, right? You can't just do this once and like be done with it. You have to put the reps in and day out. So every time I start to feel like, oh, I'm chasing something again and I'm not enjoying, I'm not being present with my kids. I'm actually taking my life for granted right now. I step back and I go, wait a minute. Remember that whatever I'm chasing now, I will accomplish. And again, like you have to put the reps in, you have to be disciplined, you have to put action, and you're going to, again, have setbacks and things, but rest easy in the feeling and in the confidence to know that you once set a goal that you've now accomplished and you're living.
Yeah.
And be grateful and come from that perspective when looking at the next thing and say, hey, I can relax. I don't have to worry. I've already set my target. It's coming. I want to enjoy this. And I want to start to embody that person that, how do I want to live? Like, it's not that I'm going to start living like that later. I start to live like that now.
That's right.
And that's just a great reframe every time you feel that kind of like that suffering feeling come back up.
Yeah. Yeah. Worry and anxiety never gave you another day. No. It really robs you of joy and of really just being content and at peace of all of the things in your life that you are just in love with. And it really robs you of all those great moments that you overlook and discount and Yeah, but you only, the crazy thing is you really only get that. Most people. There are some young people that blow you away sometimes with their mindset in their 20s or whatever. And
I know.
they have this like wisdom. It's like, where'd you get this from? Like you come across these people. They
I wasn't
exist.
like that. I wasn't
But
like that in
me
my younger
neither.
age. No.
They're like unicorns, these people. But most times to get to a certain place, it's an experiential thing. You have to live a certain amount of years to have that appreciation. All right, I want to get more personal with you. You've talked, or at least at the start of the show, I mentioned that, you went through a tough time. You went through divorce. You went through sobriety. You're a father. There was a shift. What was that period of time like for you, and how were you able to get through it?
Yeah. So it's interesting. I'll say one other thing too, is like you talked about the age of things, right? Like I'm in my 40s and I'm just kind of really getting this stuff. And now I'm able to coach people and have a community, and my wife's a lead coach, and we're like helping other people see this. But like you said, there's people in their 20s. So if I started to associate back to like primal state and powerful states, I could easily say, oh, look, I'm behind. Like I'm just getting this now and like I'm never going to catch up, versus like I look at it as this is a beautiful path and I needed to experience it in the divine timing that my higher power or like universe, whatever it is people believe, it could be the nature things, whatever that is, there is no bad timing, right? There's the perfect timing of how things unfold. And that's when you stop beating yourself up. So I just want to I think that was a key point that you mentioned in terms of like, no matter when you're learning this, it's never too late. Like this is the beautiful part. And if you accept that, then you embody that a lot better.
Yeah.
So for me, sobriety, like, so my family, and I'm a big on my podcast, we talk about like generational beliefs and a lot of like how the conditioning, even for what we're talking about today, like why was I conditioned to want to like control, dominate, and I had to always like get to the next thing? It's because like somewhere down the line, we're all basically just kids in grown up bodies. Right. I was told this, and I think it's funny, right. And people might be like, "Oh no, I'm not." It's like, but we are.
Especially men.
Especially men. Yeah,
we're
like,
just boys in with gray hair,
Yeah, we don't like, we're dealing with like 7-year-old versions of ourselves that had these experiences that taught us something that now in our 40s we're carrying forward, and it almost seems like almost immature when you look at it, right? Yeah. So, but for me, even like, so drinking was a big thing in my family. And again, my loving parents, my friends and my family, they were all great people. This isn't like a judgment upon them, but like they would drink if they were happy. They would have a drink if they were sad. And then if it's a Friday and if it's a birthday, and like, so I had this moment, about 3 years ago. I really wanted to get better in life. And I had this moment where I was just not able to process business anymore at the level that I wanted to. Like I had so much pressure. I had a family now. And I was like, you know what? This might be the year that like things fall apart for me. And I surrendered to it versus tried to control it. But I didn't give up. It wasn't apathetic to say like, oh, too bad, I'm just going to quit and like screw this stuff. I was just like, you know what? I'm okay with whatever happens. But first and foremost, I'm putting my family right in front of me. I'm going to make sure to prioritize that and my health more than anything else. I'm not going to let like sacrificial beliefs get in my way of what matters most. So I made a couple intentions that year. I was like, I'm going to go speak on a stage because I wanted to do a stage talk on like subject matter, which was influencer marketing. That's how I've helped businesses make money. Mm-hmm. And so I'm going to meet a mindset coach, a business coach, and a financial coach. I wanted to meet like 3 big gurus, right? So I've always been big in whiteboards. Like, not today anymore, but I used to have like whiteboards behind me with like how much money I'm going to make. And I didn't know about like Tony Robbins and all the manifestation of like how that worked. I just innately like knew that for some reason, right? So ended up getting my stage talk. And before I went on stage, there was this other mindset guy, and his name was David Bayer. And he went up, and I don't know if you ever had the experience where someone's speaking on stage and just feel like they're like speaking directly to you.
Yeah, right to you. Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, like this is what I needed to hear. And I got to talk to this guy, and I had to follow this guy's talk. And he's this like master speaker guy. And I'm like, oh geez. So I do okay. And then afterwards, he seeks me out. And he's like, I really like what you had to say about influencer marketing. And he's like 6'7", by the way. So I'm like looking up at him like he's my dad, you know? So I'm like, oh, that's really nice, David. Thank you.
Holy cow. Yeah, that's tall.
So he's like, how about we get together and we have a conversation? I'll help you on some mindset stuff. You help me with influencer marketing. So we had a next meeting set up. And so I talked to him about influencer marketing, but the powerful thing that happened in that conversation was a belief shift for me. And what ended up leading into like a 1-year coaching with him, which changed my life, which relates back to sobriety that I'll get into. But it's important I want to share the story that I defined success. When he asked me, like, why are you so stressed? Like, what do you define success as in business? And I was like, well, to be successful, you have to be stressed, you have to sacrifice, and you have to work harder than everyone else. And if you're not doing that, then you're not winning.
Right.
So God, he's like, well, how does it make you feel? I'm like, terrible. Like, this is a terrible feeling. And he's like, okay, so, you know, he taught me that primal states, powerful states. And he's like, if that doesn't feel good, what else could be true? I'm like, well, I guess business success could be easy. He's like, yeah. He's like, so tell me, when has it been easy in your life? And he's like, try to like think of a marketing campaign or something that happened. I'm like, well, there was this marketing campaign we did for Magnesium Breakthrough and it crushed it. Like it was 7 figures within a couple months and it was so easy. He's like, okay, what else? And so we went through for like an hour just finding evidence of when business was easy. And by the end of the conversation, we architected a new belief. And it was the best way to produce a result is to spend less time on it from a relaxed state. And we left that conversation. He goes, okay, Joey, how does that sound? And I'm like, I don't really trust it, but I'm like, I'm willing to give it a shot. And so for about 30 days, I wrote this down every single day. And we did what we called a decision matrix. It's a really simple practice you can do. You take your limiting belief, like, you know, business success requires sacrifice, suffering, and stress. Okay. Second column is new belief. The best way to produce a result, spend less time on it from a relaxed state. And every single day in the third column, you write down evidence. If it was a small win, a big win, or you have to source wins from other people that you see in your life that are crushing it and seem to be doing it with ease, you continue to do this and build the muscle. And it's a reticular activating system, the part of our brain that recognizes and filters out everything that is not aligned with our new decision and new belief. And this was transformative. And I continued to do this. And then I went to his event. His event's actually happening this weekend. It was kind of serendipitous that we're doing this conversation today.
Oh, funny.
And I signed up for his coaching program. It was the biggest investment that I've ever made in a coach. And all of that to say, when I invested, the night before I did, I went to my wife and I was like, I think I need to invest in this, you know, and I know it's like our money, but I feel like if I don't do this, I'm going to regret it.
Right.
And she's like, okay, I'm all in. And I'm like, and I think I need to get sober. Like, I think that alcohol's really been a detriment in my success. And I said, if I'm investing in this, I don't want anything on the table that's taking me away from accomplishing what I want to accomplish with my coach. And she's like, oh, okay, yeah, I don't really see it as a problem, but I guess if you want to, I support you. And so I made the biggest decision, the best decision of my life to get sober. And I wouldn't have done it had I not committed to something bigger than myself at the time. And had I not even done anything with my coach, investing in something or dedicating yourself to something of that magnitude, it changes you. Like the next day, I was already changed.
Wow.
And so interesting thing, the next morning, I go to see David and he's like, hey, man, how you doing? I'm like, I'm freaking out. Like, I just invested with you. I'm like, tell me what to do. Like, what time do I wake up? What's the plan? Like, what time do I go to the bathroom? He's like, your job is to relax this year. And I'm like, okay, that's not what I want to hear, but I'm paying you a lot of money, so I'm willing to like go all in on this.
Right.
So anyways, I got sober. And I went like an entire year without drinking, and I didn't get clear. Like even in my divorce, what happens when you don't make a decision is that you're not really like decided on anything. So my initial marriage, I didn't know if I wanted kids, but I went into it going like, yeah, maybe, who knows? So after I got divorced, I got really clear on what do I want. And I knew I wanted kids. I knew I wanted to live on the water. I knew I wanted to be independent of location for work, no matter what. And on our first date with my new wife, I told her all this, like literally first date. I was like, hey, if you're not in for this, we're just not going to see each other.
Yeah,
and she's like, oh, wow.
You cut right through all the baloney and went right, it's like, this is what I'm
because I was
looking
tired.
for.
I was tired of living in non-decisive mode.
Yep.
And so, becoming a father, I realized, what am I modeling for my kids? I go back to like, my parents, they drank and that was a way that they coped with things. And I kind of took that on. I wanted to break that generational cycle. And so anything that I'm doing behind closed doors, I'm trying to hide from either my kids or other people is probably a signal that I need to like reconsider, why am I doing that? And do I want to model that for my kids, and including drinking for me? So that was really the pivot point, and it's been transformative because even after that, there's been other things I've identified that I want to continue to get rid of in my life.
Wow. That was awesome, dude. It's really cool. And, it might have taken that initial relationship, that initial marriage, right, for you to realize what you really did want. And that, it's unfortunate, right? Because you become a statistic, right? You just become another divorced guy, but at the same time, it's probably made you a much better husband now and father, obviously, to your children. And so it was another bump, but it was something that has benefits to it. And, we can learn a lot from past relationships and stuff, and you're being true to yourself and to what you really want, and that's awesome. So after all of this, and now your kids are still fairly young, right?
5.5 and 3. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're in that sweet time of like just these awesome littles, and it's a wonderful thing. You're daddy and picking them up, and you're a jungle gym for them, and you're their world, and that's an amazing thing. And so for you, what does success, if you were to tell somebody in 3 sentences what success really looks like for you? Obviously, you're successful in your business, but what are the first things that come to your mind when people say that? Like when people ask you that, like, hey, how are things going? Like how's everything going like in your world, And like what are the first things that you want to tell them?
I want to check in with myself each day and make sure that I'm living from a place of presence. So if I catch myself like not spending time with my kids, delaying the next vacation, delaying who I want to be because I need to accomplish something more, that's my signal to check in and start to look at like internally, what's under the hood here. And, you and I think we touched on this, and I'm part of another group called the Happy Hustle Club Mastermind, where it's a bunch of entrepreneur male figures who like, they want to put the happy back in their hustle. And they're amazing men, and most of them have made significant gains, but some of them I see are still kind of white knuckling the work-life balance, right? So it's a never-ending journey of understanding and becoming aware of your patterns. So I'm constantly checking in to make sure that like, hey, if I'm not present with my kids or I'm resenting them for some reason, then there's something at play. Because if I had everything accomplished, I didn't have to work another day in my life, I did everything I set out to do, who would I be today? And I can become that now, right? And that's always what I want to do in terms of like, what is my great life look like? That's it. I want to be living in the presence mode. I want to become like even a better dad than I am today. I continue to work on myself, but just check in. Like, am I living from a place of fear and pressure and this suffering state? Or am I able to now jump into an embodiment of, no, I know everything that I want to accomplish later is still coming, and I've accomplished so much now, and I can live in that balance and be peaceful. And I think peace is the biggest thing that people seem to be missing, because there's no shortage of people out there who've financially made it, business-wise made it. But I've had conversations with people who are older than me and much more financially successful than I even ever attain, like that ever want to become. And they've even come to me and said, like, I just want peace. I can't seem to find that. And that's something that I consider as like, not a fear, because I don't like to think about fear, but it's something that I check in with.
Yeah. I think it's a great point. And it's something that, like, I've never achieved a certain level of success, the 9-figure like company, and the amazing, play. I own a house in a building in the city, and it's worth $3 million and that's one of my homes. And like, but there's a lot of these people. When I say a lot, it's relative, obviously, but there's a lot of these people that have these possessions, that have these lifestyles, that have the cars, they have the homes, they have the high-rise apartment. They have all of these things. They're jet setters. People look up to them. They have big social platforms. They look like they have everything, and yet they're not at peace. They don't feel the way that you think they feel. And I've heard more and more people talk about stuff like this. And it's not an achievement thing anymore. It's not a financial thing anymore. It's where are you putting your value in your life? You know, what's truly valuable to you? And in my eyes, and in my world, probably yours, it's relationship. Where are your relationships at with your family, with your spouse, with your children, with your siblings, with your friends, with the people you work with? What are those relationships looking like right now? And if a lot of them suck, you're probably not at peace. That's what I think.
And with yourself.
And your relationship with yourself.
With yourself. I mean, you know, a lot of people can't even spend time alone because they don't like either the thoughts they're having, who they're being behind closed doors, and that just transcends everything in the other relationships.
Wow. Yeah, you got to love yourself first, because it's really hard to love on others and to be a source of strength and light for other people when you're just feeling like a fraud, or feeling, you know, like you're not living your purpose, or you're not doing something of value for others, service to others. You know, you just feel like, it's so true, dude. And so a lot of self-reflection and having that space in your life to talk to yourself and to ask yourself questions and to just think on things and to, you know, sit quietly with yourself. And like, you know, I'm a bit of a Looney Tune because I'll talk to myself. Like I'm like my mother. My mom's in heaven and I miss her a ton. She's been gone for 10 years, but my mom would be in the kitchen. I'd be down visiting, you know, she'd be in the kitchen cooking or whatever, doing her thing, and serving others was what made my mom feel good. And so we never, you know, if you want to make us all food, Mom, and be in the kitchen sweating for 5 hours, and, you know, that's what she wanted to do. And she would just be yapping. And I'd be like, what? And she'd be like, no, just talking to myself. You know, she was her own best friend. I really think my mom really loved herself enough to just talk to herself while she was doing what made her feel good, which was preparing a meal for people she loved. And I think if we can all get there, that's what makes life worth it, man.
Yeah, that's funny because my nanny was the same. She'd be in the kitchen cooking, she'd be talking to herself, and that's when she was happy, you know?
Yep.
And I want today's conversation to feel like wherever someone's at, like it's okay. Like, you know, you hear a message at the right time that has the right resonance with the right person. And whether this is it for you or you find it, we got to continue to look. And so what I did too in this journey, as I started to have these reflections, I spent over $300,000 on personal development, whether it was masterminds, coaches. So like I put a lot of legwork in the past 10 years of my life whenever I confronted myself. And this was actually back in about 2015, even though I said I only started coaching in like 3 years ago. I already started to do the legwork. I really had compound effects, you know, 3 years ago. But I came up with, I was like, well, what could I give back in terms of adding value to other people's life? And so I said, well, if I were to give something to my kids as a legacy component of what I want to leave to them, it would be like these 30 questions. So I put together the Great Life Experiment. It's a 30-day email series, and each day is a micro reflection. And it kind of walks you through from like, you know, starting point to like really deeper reflections as you go through the 30 days. But it's time for yourself that you can read these you can think upon them, and you're going to develop deeper levels of awareness of why you're operating the way you are and where you want to start to fix and what you want to start to align. And again, this is like the gift that I want my kids to have, and it's the kind of philosophy we have in our life as the Great Life Experiment now with our family.
Yeah.
And so this is something that anybody can get for free if they wanted to sign up at thegreatlifeexperiment.ca. And again, you can go through the 30 days, or you can just pick and choose, like cherry pick the ones you want. And it will be packaged into like a course and a book eventually, but right now it's completely for free.
Wow. That sounds amazing, dude. People love free.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. So that's great. So that's greatlifeexperiment.ca, you said?
Thegreatlifeexperiment.ca. Yeah.
And obviously they could also go, I would say that joeyvaillancourt.com is also a good resource for people, right? Because they could probably find it through there.
Yeah, you can go to joeyvaillancourt.com, and we've got podcast Real Influence. Like we talk about this. This is exactly the subject matter.
Yes.
Every single week we're releasing episodes. We're interviewing great guests as well. And you'll be on the show. So I'm excited to get your perspective on this too. But yeah, check it out. Check out YouTube. We've got the videos going there as well.
Yeah, it's a great service that you're providing, because there so many of us, do put all of our value and all of our worth in where we're at with our financials, and where we're at in the world of comparison. And, is my house as good as my neighbors, and is my life as good as my coworkers, and am I following my parents' footsteps? Oh, I'm not there. I'm not where they were at this age. We're always comparing and looking and evaluating, but we have to look deeper at what really truly matters, and frame things properly, and realize that we're on our own paths, our own journeys, and that they look different, and they're supposed to look different. We're all different people going through, this life in a different way. And I really love what you're doing here. That you're getting people to take stock on things in a more meaningful way, and really finding purpose and peace. And so that's awesome what you're doing, Joey. I applaud your efforts, man.
Yeah, and I appreciate you allowing me to come on the show, share the message, and hopefully it resonates with some of the audience.
Yeah, I think it will, for sure. It falls right in line, obviously, with so much of what we talk about here on Strong by Design, and that you're made in God's image to have a strong body, mind, and spirit. And when we're not putting value in the right things, it messes with all three. And so I appreciate all of you listeners for hanging with us today. Please share this podcast episode with a friend or a family member who could benefit from all of the wonderful information that Joey shared today. And certainly go check out his resources, thegreatlifeexperiment.ca, or just check out joeyvaillancourt.com, or type his name in on pretty much any platform, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. He's everywhere. And his podcast, Real Influence. And I'm lucky enough to be on it here at some point. So it's going to be wonderful. So thanks again for stopping by, and we love you, and we'll talk with you again next time. God bless you.
Thank you so much for listening to the Strong by Design podcast. If you found value in today's episode, please subscribe so that more people can find out about our show. Plus, you don't want to miss any future episodes with the amazing guests and topics we have lined up for you.